Project Beef is back, baby, and she is getting even more beefy. I hope you're excited. Let's go ahead and get right into it.
Pull back, drop in, and just smack the lip. Bah!
Now, before we just go jumping in on a project, we need to get this puppy out on the road. It is currently the middle of March. By the time you guys see this, it'll probably be early to middle April. I have not had this thing out on the road, or I haven't even started it for that matter, since I think the middle of November. She's been sleeping. Okay, key in hand. Let's do it. Let's just do a quick oil check here. Make sure we're sitting at a good level. Oh, right at the top line. Okay, let's give her a quick crank. Whoo! I freaking love that sound.
Feel the motor running up my legs.
All right, here we are, setting off in my 2001 Porsche 911 Carrera 4. So driving this right now is kind of a historical thing. This drive we're doing will be the last drive we're doing with this car in its current configuration. We are about to put this thing under the knife. Oh, I missed it. I missed it. Why do I go all winter without driving this car? Oh, man. Oh, the sounds. Oh, yes. And everything is just so just drivable with it. All right, so we've established that I love this car so much. We've beefed up just about every single component inside of that engine that could possibly ever need to be beefed up for the purposes of making this thing just absolutely bulletproof reliable on track. Now, the one thing that I've never touched on this car in all of the things that I've done to it, engine, transmission, cooling system, we've beefed this thing up like crazy. I have never touched the suspension. Now, if you've got a scale, a hypothetical, imaginary scale, chassis, powertrain, right now, we've got a ton in that powertrain basket, and this car is pretty unbalanced. I never just want to make a stripped out, track-only monster. The interior of this car is going to completely remain in it. I'm not going to go crazy just tearing everything out of it, but I do want to kind of balance this car out a little bit more. We've refreshed every single thing in the powertrain of this vehicle. Why wouldn't I refresh every single thing in the suspension of this vehicle? That's right, every single thing. Control arms, ball joints, bushings, wheel bearings, obviously the struts and shocks. But we're not just doing struts and shocks, wink, wink. Anything that controls the motion in any kind of way of any of the four wheels is going to get replaced, all of it. And it will have more of a track weekend focus to it, while also maintaining the on-road usability of it for the most part. Suspension components don't change themselves. It's just not just gonna turn into a track monster sitting here like this. Yep, let's do it. I've already gone ahead and measured all four corners of the car to get a reference point. Now we can put this thing on the lift and lift it up now that we have those numbers written down. Well, all right, friends, here we are. And as you can see, we've got quite the stack of boxes back here. Let's go ahead and start putting some stuff out on the table. I can show you what we got. Got some exhaust flange gaskets because we're gonna be taking our exhaust apart just a little bit, and hardware for doing such a thing. Got some O-rings and seals for doing the stuff on the engine that I have yet to tell you guys about. These are taps into fuses that are also related to the thing that I have yet to tell you guys about. Let's see what we got in this box. Ooh, I believe these are control arms. Oh yeah. Got some brand spanking new OEM control arms. Ooh, more control armage. Those are the lowers. We got some brake rotors. Cool, I'm not gonna take those out of the box because they're heavy. So I'm going to go ahead and replace all 4 brake rotors on the car because they are pretty old and they've seen a lot of track time. So gonna go ahead and just refresh on those things. And here we have more lower control arms. All four corners of this car actually have the exact same lower control arms, hence why there are four of what I just unboxed. More control arms, so the lower rear control arms. Wheel bearings, more wheel bearings, cool. Yep, cool. Those are the upper control arms for the rears, I believe. All of this stuff, as you can see, is basically replacements of all the OEM hardware. I didn't want to go crazy and get like the GT3 control arms or anything. I really want to overall maintain on-road drivability of this car, in addition to just making it an awesome track weekend monster. Your boy's not trying to set lap records. I just like to go out and have a good time, but also I like to be competitive, but I don't necessarily need to be the absolute fastest person on the track, hence why I don't feel the need to absolutely just jack up my car for on-road use and make it exclusively usable on track only. But even though all of this stuff right here is exactly OEM specification parts, there's a box of parts sitting right over there that I've yet to show you guys that's not exactly stock. And here it is, folks. Here is that box. Boop. Oh, oh, oh. Yeah. We're doing coilovers, baby. So, if you're not familiar with coilovers and what exactly they are, this is a coilover. Essentially, coilover performs the same function as your stock strut. This would be one of the front struts right here, with the exception of just a buttload of adjustability. Take a look at these little guys right here. So these allow you to control your spring preload. And then this one right here allows this to turn, the bottom part of the shock, which then allows you to separately adjust your ride height from your spring preload. And then in addition, on this here shock mount plate up top, you've got a ton of camber adjustability, way more than the stock camber adjustment allows. What does all of this add up to? Basically, it allows you to really be able to dial in your car for on-track use, which therefore helps your handling, helps your ride, overall helps your controllability of the car. Yes, these coilovers will make the ride a little bit more stiff, and we can make it a lot more stiff if we want to. Just because they're more stiff doesn't mean that we'll be shaking our fillings out of our teeth when we drive this thing on the road. It'll still be comfortable enough for the street, but it'll be so much better for the track. Backing up a little bit, if you're not familiar with feel suspension, well, I wasn't either until very recently. Shout out to Joey. His car is Project Tasty Tiptronic.
Oh, yum.
His car had coilovers. These coilovers right here. He's the one who turned me onto these. I actually had never heard of feel suspension prior to this, so I was able to drive a car with this exact suspension setup. I started doing some digging and realized, holy crap, these are the real deal. The nice thing about them is they're not gonna break the bank. Are they expensive? Sure, kind of, but they came in cheaper than the other suspension that I was planning to put on this car that wasn't coilover. So you can get coilovers for your 996 for cheaper than an OEM Plus setup. I ended up spending, I think, around $1,800 on them, which is a steal for coilovers. You can spend 6,000 bucks on coilovers, but these are kind of the more baseline coilovers for what Feel makes. These are just one-way adjustable, but the good news is these will allow me to improve my ride dramatically over what it was previously for on-track driving. And if I ever want to upgrade them, you can take your coilovers, send them back to Feel, and these are completely modular. They will swap out the interior components to upgrade them to a higher spec if you ever wanted to do so. That's a lot of rambling, but that is why we went with the Feel coilovers, because Joey told me about them. I started doing some research and realized that these are actually the real deal. And when I realized the cost of them, I was like, I'd be silly to not buy these Feel coilovers. So anyway, not sponsored whatsoever, just kind of a PSA. Alrighty, folks. Well, your boy has been a little bit busy, so let me go ahead and just get you guys up to speed. Honestly, it looks like more than it actually is. I really haven't done all that much. I just kind of did a lot of the tedious tasks that are required to kind of get us below that surface level to gain access to the stuff that we actually need to get access to do the job that we're about to do. Obviously, first and foremost, I went ahead and removed the rear bumper and I removed the exhaust, and that is going to be for a little side project that we're going to be doing in addition to all the suspension stuff. We'll touch on that more in a future episode, but for now, just know we've got some more beefening coming. Beefening is a word. I also went ahead and disconnected the CV shafts, and pretty much that's honestly about it. Right now, we need to begin tearing into this corner of the car. We're gonna start at the back. We'll just arbitrarily start at this corner. We obviously have to eventually remove all of these control arms. These are all getting replaced, every single one of them. In addition, we're replacing every single one of the wheel bearings, so therefore, we're gonna be taking the hubs off entirely as well. So in short, we're getting surgical. Just about every single thing that you can see in this area will have to come off the car to be able to accomplish what we're trying to do. So let's go step by step and just start tearing down this back corner. First things first, loosen up this 10mm nut right here so we can begin getting our wire harness that sits around the caliper out of the way. Then we can begin loosening up our brake caliper. Hang that by a zip tie by one of the frame members so that you're not putting any stress on your soft line. Next up, remove your brake rotor. Then, working from inside the car from the center console, remove the floor of the center console so you can gain access to the parking brake. Loosen that up entirely to give plenty of slack to your parking brake, because we now have to disassemble that parking brake for the purpose of removing that cord that runs to our hub. So we're going to begin by removing our retaining springs that hold each of the pads down. Then we can remove the pad adjuster. Pop off this retaining spring that holds the pads together. Then you should be able to work the pads off of the hub. Remove this clip. Be careful with this because there are two tiny little pins that hold this together that can easily fall on the ground and get lost. And then from there, your actual parking brake cable is free and able to be pulled through the hub and removed. Next up, I just went ahead and removed this dust shield for better access and the inner wheel well cover as well. Next, I loosened up the control arms where they attached to the chassis, and this lower ball joint to the hub here. From there, we could fully remove this lower rear control arm. Then I went ahead and loosened up where our shock attaches to the hub. Next up, working from inside the car, you can see the shock tower for the rear suspension back here. That is just beneath this padding right here that easily just pops right off. We then need to loosen up these 3 15mm nuts for each of the struts. And then from there, your shock is free and able to drop out of the car. I then loosened up the chassis mounts for the upper control arms and was able to work my CV shaft free. Then going ahead and loosening up this lower ball joint, I was then able to remove our wheel carrier assembly entirely. And finally, we just need to remove these last 2 control arms. And in the end, all we're left with is just a big old pile of parts sitting on the ground. The entire rear suspension is officially completely taken apart. Have you guys heard of fuel coilovers before? Maybe I just live under a freaking rock. And also, what's your favorite brand of coilovers? I know that's a dangerous question. That's like asking somebody what their favorite oil brand and weight is to run in their Porsche. It's just an endless discussion. Or what kind of tires do you run? Do you like them? Do you think, they seem like a decent brand? I'm not really sure, but like I said, from what I can tell, they seem like a pretty solid little brand. But we are going to go ahead and call it for today. Pretty exciting though. We do have the back end completely torn down, obviously, and now you know what's going back up in this thing. So, hey, if you enjoyed this episode, please do me a huge favor and hit that like button, and please subscribe to see the rest of this series and see how this puppy drives once it's all put back together. And we've got weekly Porsche videos and just general automotive videos coming down the pipeline to you via Funhead TV every single week. So please definitely hit that subscribe button and whack that bell notification while you're at it so you get notified the second my videos go live. So thank you again so much for being here this week. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Yes, you. I'm looking right at you, and I will see you all in the next video. Later.
Go back. Drop in and just smack the.